Hi everyone, Mary again. Welcome to episode 4 of Keto Coach. This week we're going to talk about cheating. I wrote an article for the Keto Evangelist website, which published last week, and it was about cheating and the consequences of cheating. The response was mostly positive, overwhelmingly positive, but there were a few people who got upset with me. And I understand that because I guess, it's a sensitive subject, especially for those who do a lot of cheating. Um, so, first of all, what does it mean to cheat when you're on keto? Well, first, if you're on a ketogenic lifestyle because you want permanent, lifelong changes, benefits to your health, um, and with your weight, then keto's not something that you do for the short term, because once you stop being keto, eventually you will gain the weight back. And I mean, it's pretty much that way with any diet that you do. Once you stop whatever it was that made you lose the weight, then obviously the weight returns. But with keto, it's not just weight loss. And in fact, there are plenty of people who don't do keto to lose weight. They do it to reverse their diabetes, to heal from PCOS. They also do it to lower their blood pressure, help with their, mental focus. There's lots of things that keto can help with. Also, those who suffer from seizures, they embark on a ketogenic diet to help control their seizures. So it's not just about the weight loss. So once you decide that keto is something you're going to do for life, then you pretty much need to adhere to it all the time. I hear statements made about cheating. Well, one little cheat won't hurt, or oh, come on, just have one bite. I've had my own family members try to get me to take a bite of something. And so for me, I'll address the sugar and carb addicts first. For me, there's no such thing as one bite, one cheat. A cheat meal would turn into a cheat day. A cheat day would turn into 2 cheat days, and then a cheat week and a cheat month. And before you know it, I'd be 3 months down the road to sugar, hell, basically. That's because I'm a sugar and carb addict. Now, there are people out there who think that sugar addiction isn't real. It's all in our head. Well, I'm here to say that that's BS. It isn't all in my head. I didn't want to be out of control binge eater for 18 freaking years. I tried everything I could, over and over to, stop. And until I realized that I had an addiction to sugar, not food. I don't believe I'm addicted to food, because I can stop eating a keto meal just fine and leave food on the plate. It's definitely a sugar addiction, and sugar in all forms, meaning anything that you put in your mouth that converts to glucose. I struggled with. So bread, pasta, candy, cookies, all of those things, I could not stop eating. So I had an addiction. So for me, cheating would be taking just a bite of something. So in over 2 years, I've not had a cheat day or a cheat meal or a cheat bite or a cheat crumb, or even like licking my finger, like when making things for my family. It's just not worth it to me. And I've been called obsessed or extreme for that, but I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not going to risk it. It's not worth it to me. So what is cheating on keto? Basically, it's going off plan. It's eating an assortment of carbs. It's, having a bun on your burger, or eating French fries, having Domino's pizza, or a plate of pasta. That is cheating. Those things will likely knock you out of ketosis, especially if you suffer from metabolic damage. If you are trying to heal from metabolic damage, those things for sure, one meal will kick you out of ketosis. Now, are there people out there who can tolerate, a higher amount of carbs? Yes, but they were probably people who weren't that metabolically damaged to begin with, or maybe only, needed to lose a little bit of weight, or somebody who's just doing keto like because they want the health benefits and the energy. They never needed to lose weight. They didn't have type 2 diabetes. Those people are obviously the exception. And I don't feel like I should need to spell it out every time I talk about cheating, that I'm not including those types of normal people. When I talk about cheating, I'm addressing those that are like me, the carb and sugar addict, the type 2 diabetic, the insulin resistant, and other, types of metabolically damaged people. So that's what cheating is. If having even just a meal or a bite. Now, a bite probably won't knock you out of ketosis, but you take a risk. You take a risk that bite turns into 2 bites, and then before you know it, you've had a meal. And then what you do when you take in what I call cheat foods, you are taking a risk. You may or may not experience where cravings, where you eat something and then suddenly you're craving, every carb in sight. I mean, I see this online all the time. People, say, oh my gosh, I blew it. I ate this or that, and now I can't stop eating, and I need to get back on track. And it's not that they can't stop. It is, but it's a physiological response. They've eaten the trigger food, and the cells in their bodies came alive and said, give me more. So every time you cheat, you take that risk. Now, some people have a cheat and that doesn't happen. So then they think, oh, look, I'm fixed. I can cheat like this more often. And so for a while, it's like, okay, I have a once a week cheat meal, but then it gradually, goes into a downward spiral. And before you know it, they're having lots of cheats, and then they're off plan and they gain weight and they feel like crap again. And then they finally figure it out. I've seen story after story from people like that they've finally figured out that they can't cheat. So, is it kind of sad? I get, not for me, but I guess some people get kind of sad when they think, oh man, I'm never going to have a piece of cheesecake again, or I'm never going to eat Fritos again. But it's just food. One of the things that I wanted to change was this unhealthy, obsessive, dysfunctional relationship that I had with food. Food is not going to fix our problems. I've heard people say, oh, but I just love to eat, or it makes me feel better. I do feel better when I eat. Well, I don't. And I know a lot of people don't. So for those of you that are like me, if you're cheating and you're feeling guilty before the meal's even done, cheating's not for you. And if we were capable of moderation or self-control, or didn't have this addiction, we never would have become obese to begin with. We never would have developed type 2 diabetes, which for most people develops because we ate way too many carbs, and it's usually in the form of, sweets. For other people, I guess, sweets isn't their thing. For me, it was like all of it. It wasn't just sweets. I could take down a few Snickers bars as easily as I could take down 2 back-to-back plates of, spaghetti. So it does psychological damage to you too. And so you cheat, then you feel guilty, and then you suffer some consequences, and it's just no good. It doesn't make you feel good about yourself. So basically, if you're of the mind that you think that you're gonna do this keto thing and you're gonna get the weight off, and then you're gonna return to being a normal eater, you're deceiving yourself. If you became obese and you were a binge eater when it came to carbs and sugars, you are never going to eat normal. Like I said, you may control it for a while, just like, the alcoholic that quits drinking and thinks he's going to be a social drinker. Maybe for a little bit, he could go to the bar and have one or two drinks, but before you know it, that's a downward spiral too, because that's what addiction is. You have no control over it. You have no willpower, maybe for a short period of time, but after a while, it's going to go away and you're going to end up right back where you started. So I think the main thing, the number one thing to stay out of a cheating mindset is to admit that to yourself. Admit that you have an addiction and that you have no willpower when it comes to sugar and carbs, or you wouldn't be in the predicament that you got in. I never would have been 260 pounds if I was capable of eating it in moderation. It just wasn't possible for me. Now, my choices, that's not to say that we're not responsible for being overweight or staying, diabetic. We made choices, and those choices ultimately led to the addiction and to type 2 diabetes. We definitely have to take responsibility for our choices. But, at some point, the addiction takes over. So anyways, you have to have a mindset that cheating is not an option. You have to view food differently. I view food now strictly as fuel. It's not reward. It's not entertainment. It's not comfort, because it will not fix my problems. It will only make life worse for me. It will hurt my health. It will cause me to gain weight, which also will hurt my health. It will make me feel bad. And I'm not just talking about the guilt. Like, I didn't realize when I was walking around at 260 pounds, like, I knew I didn't feel, great. I knew I got tired in the afternoons and I was dragging and fatigued, but you get to, when you're that way, you kind of adjust and you kind of don't know that you feel horrible until you feel better. Then you realize how horrible you actually felt. And, I just think about, like, how did I, walk around like that for so long, feeling like that? I don't want to go back to feeling that way. So there's no food out there that is worth the risk, worth giving up everything that I've gained from being ketogenic. And, so whatever, maybe I'm a keto Nazi, maybe I'm obsessed, but I'd rather be obsessed with health and staying in a constant state that has me feeling good. I haven't been sick in over 2 years. I'm sure, I'll get sick at some point, but basically, I'm healthy and all my blood work is good. I don't have to be on any medication, and I don't want to give that up. There's no cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory or a birthday cake or Haagen-Dazs or anything like that that is worth giving up what I've gained and the benefits that I receive. It's only food. It doesn't fix our problems. It doesn't make problems go away. It only makes things worse for us. So maybe things taste good. It's temporary. You take that bite or those first few bites and it's temporary satisfaction at best. And thankfully there are people out there who keto-fy everything. So, if you really want to still indulge in treats, there's plenty of healthy alternatives. I'm not going to say don't do that because, I do once in a while have keto baked goods. I don't buy things like Quest bars or Atkins bars. I did in the beginning buy Atkins bars, but I realized after a while that it was no good for me. So I stopped. But there are alternatives out there for people who still want to indulge. It's kind of a slippery slope. And for, some people, like in my case, I just can't do those things. And I can't do keto sweets on a regular basis. And by regular basis, I mean daily, weekly, I can't do that. Once a month or, once every other month, making a crustless cheesecake, or a batch of keto fudge. Those things are fine. But I have gotten into trouble before on keto. When I first discovered keto fudge, oh my goodness, the first few batches I made lasted an entire week. But then, just like with real sugar, it went into a downward spiral. And before I knew it, like I was making 2 or 3 batches of keto fudge a week and I was eating it all. It was like the fat bomb of fat bombs. Like I've never made fat bombs, but I've made keto fudge and it may as well be a fat bomb. So I had to stop that. I had to stop the keto fudge because I realized I had a problem, because that's my addictive personality. And even though it wasn't real sugar, I quickly got addicted to it. I was like, oh man, this is great. And it was almost even worse than real sugar, because in my mind, I was like, well, this is keto legal. You know, it's erythritol. It's, you know, no big deal. It's not affecting my blood sugar. But I mean, I was out of control with it, eating 2 to 3 batches a week. I mean, that's crazy. So that's what happens. So there are alternatives out there, but you got to be careful with those too, you know, because it could stall you, or it could just make you like, you know, it could get you off track mentally. So anyway, you can do that, but just be careful. You know, you could do keto-fied foods. Just be careful with it. That's all. So anyway, ultimately, you know, we're all adults here. You can choose to cheat or not to cheat. I choose not to cheat. It's just not worth it. And, you know, the thing is if you are going to be a cheater, don't push it on other people. Don't tell people, oh, it's okay. One meal's not going to hurt. Go ahead and treat yourself. Don't tell people that. That's not nice. If you want to do it, that's great. You do it. And you know what? For the most part, keep it to yourself. But don't tell people who are vulnerable or who it might not be okay for that it's, you know, they don't need permission to do it. It's better to, you know, just keep that to yourself. And you don't need to justify your cheats. You're an adult. If you cheat, you cheat, and you live with the consequences. That's all. So there you have it. That's, you know, that's my take on cheating, and you can take it or leave it. I hope you have a great keto week, and I'll see you next week for episode 5.